This is an impossible arrow. At first glance it's a simple arrow, but as it turns something feels off. Which way is it pointing? Every time you turn it, it points the same way. If you look at it from above, you can see it doesn't look like an arrow at all. But the mind insists on seeing it one way and the reality is quite different. This is the impossible arrow illusion. This illusion was designed by Professor Kokichi Sugihara, a mathematician and engineer whose work explores the way perspective can create impossible objects. Many optical illusions take advantage of the way our brain processes depth, light and shadow. The impossible arrow relies on a combination of geometric distortion and perspective to mislead the eye. So when you look at it, it appears to be a simple arrow, but in reality it's an asymmetrical structure, got carefully curved edges that only align in a particular way when you view it from the right angle. To understand why this works, we need to consider how the brain interprets visual information. Our eyes capture a two-dimensional image of the world, and the brain reconstructs that into a three-dimensional understanding using cues like shading and edges and prior experience. So the impossible arrow is designed so that when viewed from the correct angle, it lines up in a way that mimics the appearance of a normal arrow. The brain, looking for familiar patterns, perceives this as a single unified shape, even though the reality is much more complex. When the arrow rotates, those hidden distortions become apparent. The sections that previously aligned to form a coherent shape are revealed to be irregular, but the brain still insists on seeing continuity. This illusion highlights how much we rely on perspective when interpreting objects. In everyday life, our brain uses these cues to determine the size and shape and position, but in the case of the impossible arrow, they lead us astray. When faced with conflicting visual information, the brain prioritises the most stable interpretation. Here it assumes that an arrow must point consistently in one direction, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. Now, if you'd like to try this effect for yourself, there are resources available to create your own version. If you've got access to a 3D printer, you can print your own arrow out, and I'll link the files below this video. So, the impossible arrow is a fascinating exercise in perception and geometry and just tricking the brain. Hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Goodbye.